Fromage from Road to Infamy Games was my game of the year of 2024, and Formaggio is a brand new expansion set in Italy. What does it add to the game? I'm Dr. Brian McDonald. This is Brains on Games. Let's talk all about Formaggio from Road to Infamy. I'm joined today, here's why I'm joined today by this guy, Chris Monroe from Late to the Party Games. So we are today at the Brains on Games Invitational Board Game Day. You might sometimes be able to hear people yelling from the other room, which is an event that we do a couple of times a year where we invite friends and friends of friends to get together and play some games at a local restaurant. So that's why we're not in my studio at home. I don't know what the audio is going to sound like. I don't know how the lighting is. I don't know anything that's going on here except that my recording devices are turned on. Let's talk about Fromage and Formaggio. I wanted to have Chris on to talk about Fromage in particular because that game absolutely blew his mind. I mean, it blew everyone's mind, let's be honest. It was number one for lots of reviewers, but I thought it was really clever in how they implemented the worker placement. But you, as a game designer, I think your mind was blown.
Yeah, I think you saw I had this moment. We play a few games together, and I usually, if the game's good, I'll usually have one of those moments where my eyes go wide, and he knows that I'm thinking from a design point of view, like, whoa, this is next level. This is something I haven't seen before. Super clever, something I want to see more of in more games out there. That's what hit it for me with Fromage. I think probably that moment for me was really with the worker placement. Mm-hmm. I guess maybe we're on the same page there, but I think it's one of the coolest worker placement mechanics that I've ever seen in a game where your workers come back to you when they're facing you. Mm-hmm. Why didn't anybody else ever think of that? Yep. That's amazing.
Yeah. And now, if you haven't seen the original review or the top 10 list from 2024, definitely go back and take a look. But yeah, this is a game where the worker placement spaces are directed in different ways so that when you rotate the board around at the end of your turn, different workers will be facing you. Those are the workers that are going to come back. So what does Formaggio add or change about Fromage? Well, first of all, I don't know if you'll be able to see on these cameras, but there is a little hunk of cheese here in the middle of the board that is an improvement over. Now, I didn't have any problems with the original game. The original game had a game mat. It had a tiny dowel with a sticker on the bottom, and that was just to keep everything still when you were turning it, which was very clever. But now you've got this, it's like a 3D printed piece of cheese that screws on so that it keeps, like, everything is locked in.
Sort of like pins it, like
nothing's going to move.
Spin around without popping out of that.
Like, it's super easy to spin this thing around.
Great design.
So I thought that was, I mean, it wasn't absolutely necessary for us anyway. Like, everything stayed in place on our board, but I know some people did complain about that. It wasn't an issue at our place. This is a very nice, though, upgrade to the original board.
Oh, yeah, right. Which I haven't seen, but I mean, this is pretty fancy, So
you've also got new sculpts of the buildings. You've got new sculpts of animals. I'll take pictures and things later. I won't dig around in my boxes here. And of course, there are new structures for the player board. Now, the player boards are just about the same as they ever were. 4 buildings on the top, but now you've got some new structures that you can add or that you can draft at the beginning of the game. These are all a little bit asymmetric. One thing I think that's nice that they've done here that we haven't talked about this yet is that in the original Fromage, there were some buildings that would affect you when you were working in a certain quadrant. They would say, oh, if you're in the bistro, do this, or earn some extra points. But now what they've done instead of naming those specific quadrants is they're going by seasons, referring to the resources that you're gathering. So you've got 4 different colors here. They're labeled winter, spring, summer, fall. So now you've just got a snowflake. That it says on this one, it says whenever you place a cheese in the winter zone, which in this case is this one, but it's randomized every time, in the winter zone, then you get 2 victory points.
I think the seasons work better for me, for my brain.
But also for expansions.
Yeah.
Because the seasons make it compatible with the previous game because you're just basing it on the center resource gathering board. So a nice addition, I think, that just I guess, makes it easier to expand the game. Okay. There was one other thing that I think you really liked about the original, and that was, you've got the mat underneath to make the board easier to spin, but
Shall we?
you were very impressed with they've got finger notches in the edges of each piece.
Look.
Oh, to make it
Smooth.
so easy. It's pretty smooth,
Smooth.
We're on a very rough table. I was going to put a mat underneath, but there is a mat
Well, there's a
underneath
bit
the
of
board
a takeoff
itself,
slope
so
to this table, yeah.
it's not perfectly level. But okay, so those are the little additions. This is a standalone expansion. You can play this game just on its own. You don't need the original Fromage, but you can mix and match the pieces. You can mix and match the cards, and you can mix and match quadrants from both games together to really increase the replayability, I'd say, of both of these games. Let's talk about the 4 different quadrants, because that's really what's been added to the new game.
Yep.
Do you have a favorite that you want to start with?
Do you have a guess as to my favorite?
I'm guessing you're going to pick Vignetto over here.
I actually don't know yet for that section, because the first time we played,
You never even did anything.
it was over here. You were sitting there. I was sitting here. I
Yeah.
knew it was coming around to me on turn 4. So I said, turn 4 quadrant. I'm going to be the last of the game. So I'm going to focus on, I think this was turn 1 quadrant for me, which is really cool. These little guys, this is my favorite section.
Yes.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
Like, it's a spatial, a little bit of co-op, a little bit of fighting for space, but with a bit of co-op in there. But these are little gondola boats. So, want to talk about these gondolas?
Yeah, so this is Venice. And what you're trying to do is connect restaurants that are selling your cheese to the tourists who are coming in gondolas. So you're placing gondolas around the board, trying to surround your restaurants where you've placed cheese with as many of those gondolas as possible. That's how you're going to earn victory points.
Super cool.
Yeah, that was a good mechanism. We still have the inserts that slide into each of these quadrants. So there are a few spaces on each of those that are like free spaces that have gondolas on them automatically right from the start of the game. But the position of those varies depending on which board you're using.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what I like about the shape of this section, if you look at it, it's kind of looking hexagonal, right? Like the 6 points of a hexagon, but not always activating everyone, but without looking like one of those game boards with hexagons.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an interesting little play on the mind here with the direction of those shared spaces. I just thought it was really cool.
You can see the hexes when you pull up the card.
There you go.
Because the water around the outside.
That's the setup guy.
It draws it out.
I just show up and lose.
Right. Well, that's really the goal when I invite someone over. One other thing I should mention, I didn't mention this before, is that there is a new kind of cheese. So in the original game, you had bronze, silver, and gold cheeses, and each level was worth usually more points, or they were more valuable somehow at the end of the game. There are platinum cheeses now in Formaggio, and if you make a platinum cheese, it takes a long time to age one of those things. You're not going to get that worker back until the board comes all the way around. It takes 4 turns to get that worker back if you try and make a platinum cheese. So there are a couple of spots on each board where it's going to take you a long time if you place your workers there to get them back again.
Can we say it's a spicy cheese ball?
Oh, I wouldn't say that, but you just did.
He's a spicy cheese ball.
That's right, exactly. Let's talk about the wine. So this is a completely different mechanism too from the original game, because when you're placing cheese in this wine pairing area of the board, you're collecting a tile. Some of them have resources that you can earn immediately when you collect them. There's half bottles on either edge of these things. So you're taking a tile, you're putting it in a row, you're trying to connect bottles of the same color. Sometimes you can get a resource by doing that, but you're really trying to earn victory points by putting the bottles together. The thing about this row that you're building, though, is you can't slot anything into the middle. So once you've decided what you're putting together, you're going on the left or the right, and then you're stuck. So you really have to be careful about which cheeses you choose. These tiles are randomized. They're shuffled up at the start of the game by row. So you've got, you'll be shuffling up the bronze, silver, gold, and platinum cheeses.
Oh, yeah, it has a little marking on the bottom. Okay,
Yeah.
I see it.
You can tell which table they go above based on the little picture. Quadrant number 3 Now, this is my favorite only because I learned a true fact from playing this one. When this game came up on Kickstarter, they talked about this quadrant of the board and that this is based on a thing that really exists.
Oh, nice.
So I looked it up, and it's true. It does. And the pictures, if you like cheese, the pictures of this place will blow your mind. This is the bank. The bank.
Love it. La
That's
banca.
what it says right there. And the bank, there are banks in Italy that accept cheese as collateral for loans. Which I thought that sounds really bizarre, but that is a true fact. And you can see pictures of shelves and shelves of these giant wheels of cheese, which of course are worth a fortune. So they're using those as collateral for bank loans. So this is the bank. What you're trying to do in the bank is you're going to earn victory points by placing your cheeses in the rows and columns. You've got the 2 platinum cheeses at the top, and those count as a cheese in all of the columns beneath it. So it gives you that extra bonus if you don't already have a cheese there, if someone else hasn't blocked it on you.
It's like rows and columns is what you're trying to score there, right? But with the columns being an interesting little, and we were a little bit, some of us were a bit confused by that at first, but I like it. I think it's
it took us a
clever,
second to get the hang of it.
Well, it's a clever way to use a wild card or the top tier something, which is platinum, right? Apply it to 3 different rows.
So you get 10 victory points. You'll get 10 victory points if you manage to place 2 of your cheeses up here in the platinum section.
Yeah, good luck.
So you need to have 2 in a row in order to get the points. The gold is worth 9, and then 5, and then 2 for the bronze. And then the columns, you're going to earn 4, 10, or 18 points. If you get 4, if you've got a whole column, you're doing really well. You're going to get 18 points in the game. That didn't happen in the games that we played.
No.
It's pretty hard to do when you're competing against. Maybe in a 2-player game you could swing it, but it was pretty hard when we were playing with 4 people.
I got close, but no cigar.
No, we had some 3s. We never had any 4s. The final section is similar to the provinces in the original game. So in the original game, they had a map of France, and you were trying to put your cheese in the majority. You wanted your cheese to be the majority in as many regions as possible, and that's what was going to earn you more victory points. In this case, you're trying to spread your cheeses out. You want to have cheese in as many regions as possible. Each of those spaces also has flags on the top. Your victory points are the number of flags that are occupied by your cheese multiplied by the number of regions that your cheese occupies.
And then some don't have flags, right? So it makes it the race to the best spots kind of factor going on.
Oh, yeah. That one is really, you want to
I actually did really well. This should be my favorite region. I do love this region. And comparing this to the old game, the Fromage map, whatever you called it, region?
Yeah, was
it just region?
I think it was provinces.
Because this is a regione.
It was.
I like both of them. I like both how they're different. I just think this is really clever the way they change something.
It would be confusing, I think. You'd really have to wrap your brain around it if you're playing with both in the same game.
Oh, I'm up for that. Let's do it.
Yeah,
this afternoon.
Well, I mean, somebody did bring Fromage, and I brought the Formaggio.
Amazing.
So those are the 4 regions. So you've got a little bit of area control, but you're trying to control a number of flags. You're placing gondolas around your cheese on the map. You're collecting wine for tasting, and you're building rows and columns in the cheese bank. The core game is identical, really. There's a few upgrades to the components themselves, and then you've got those new mechanisms in each of those 4 quadrants. What did you think of this compared to the first one?
I would say I'll give a slight tip to Fromage just because it's the original. It has a little softer cheese spot in my heart. But they're pretty close. They're pretty close.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you can get your hands on the upgraded centerpiece here for the board, that's helpful. And I think down the road, if there are more expansions coming, that the new symbology of the summer, spring, winter, fall is going to be something that's going to make it really easy to upgrade and mix and match pieces from these various games. So, look, Fromage was my game of the year for a good reason. I think it was very clever. I do really like the timing and how important the timing is, because you might want to do something in one zone and then you have to make sure you have a worker and a worker of a certain color, because you've got 3 different colored workers basically, who are making the orange or blue or the white cheeses on the board. It's a very, very clever game. And I don't think this messes with the original formula, but the stuff that it adds is worthwhile, and the fact that it can be mixed and matched with the original game is, to me, that's a winner.
Well, yeah, I mean, now you have a modular game with 8 different games. Think about the combinations and the possibilities.
I mean, it was replayable right from the start.
It was.
With all the different inserts that mix things around.
And just changing the order, even of the original, where they start, right?
Yeah, I mean, even where you start in the game is going to
exactly.
change everything for you, because you'll get different resources based on the way the board is set up.
Yep.
So I think, like you, I think the gondolas were an extra neat addition, and you've got a little recessed area on the board where the gondolas go. So that, again, very clever. These guys know what they're doing.
It was so funny when you set it up. Sorry to interrupt. When you set it up, I looked at this and I said, "Oh, there's olives in the game." And I said, "Okay, no, Venezia. Okay, I know what that is."
Yeah, they look like pits even.
Yeah, olive pits. That's what.
Oh, that would be terrible. Why would you want olive pits in a game about cheese? All right.
Great section. Great section.
That is an excellent section of the board. A really good addition. And Road to Infamy, you put out something else that I think is really great. I've got a whole bunch of people in the other room who are like champing at the bit to get at this thing.
Yeah, they're fighting over it, right?
Yeah.
My turn.
Yeah. So this is going to be in high demand today at the Brains on Games Invitational Game Day. Thanks so much, Chris Monroe from Late to the Party Games, for joining in. Do you have socials that you can tell people about this?
Always a pleasure. I am almost there. Aren't you proud of me?
So he's that close.
I mean, there's been a lot of progress and things are just around the corner now, guys. Things are coming.
He's constantly putting his name to the test.
Am I? The doctor paused. He knows what he's doing.
All right. So if you have any questions or comments about Formaggio or anything else to do with Brains on Games, you can leave them in the comment section below the video. You can email me at brian@brainsongames.ca. Brainsongames.ca is the website. That's where future episodes will go. Previous ones are already up there. Brains on Games is the X handle and the Facebook page and the Instagram feed and the Blue Sky feed. So we're all over the place. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to be notified of future ones, you can head on over to YouTube and click that subscribe button. Thanks for joining me. Hopefully I'll see you next time.